Hello and welcome to Back at Camp, Mojave County's only outdoor television show. I'm your host, Captain Don Martin, and on today's show we have two experts on concealed carry in Arizona. We're going to talk to the owner of the gun shop, Chris Wagner, and the CCW expert, Jack Solbus, about how you as a citizen can obtain a CCW permit in Arizona. So don't go away. Great show today. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Back at Camp. I'm your host, Captain Don Martin. On today's show, I have with me Chris Wagner, the owner of the gun shop, and Jack Solbus. He is the chief firearms instructor for CCW for your business.
That is correct.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about this, Chris. This is kind of new for the gun shop.
We're excited. Concealed carry is new for us. We've done several classes now, and they've gone over very well. The big consideration that it is in Arizona today makes it a very important asset to our shop. We're glad to give people a place to learn about the firearms, experience them, learn proper technique, safety, and a good bit about the laws that they need to know if they choose to carry.
Okay. Now, your chief instructor is Jack Solbus.
Jack, we're very lucky to have Jack.
Yeah.
He comes highly recommended.
Right. Jack,
which is a great class.
Give me a little background about how you and Chris got connected, and some background how you became an instructor in teaching something so important as concealed carry.
Well, I originally met Chris as a customer in his store, and I was impressed just by the whole atmosphere. That's a lot about the gun experience for me and people that I do train. He was personable, store had good selection, and I approached him along with the wife, who's also an NRA instructor, and kind of pitched this to him, and he was very receptive, and it worked out well so far.
Okay. Now, give me a little background on the training that is needed for a person to be a concealed firearms instructor.
Currently, Arizona requires that you are an NRA instructor and you teach NRA classes.
Okay.
You can also get the permit other ways if you have a DD-214, which is the military separation papers,
Right.
ex-law enforcement, that type of thing. For civilians, for the most part, you must take a NRA sanctioned safety class.
Okay.
And it can be anything. Arizona does not, it doesn't matter to Arizona. What we're basically offering at the store is a 4-hour safety class that qualifies for the permit. If a person has some gun experience, it's a good thing to do it that way because you don't need to learn to shoot. If you need to learn to shoot, there's other ways to do it. You can take other more advanced NRA classes. Along with the class, you need 2 fingerprint cards, all the state's paperwork, and there is an FBI background check that's as part of this to make sure that you're one of the good guys.
Right.
And it's as simple as that. It takes about 2 months to get the permit back.
Okay. Now, in today's society, we've seen a huge change in what's going on in America. And I think, back 20 years ago, people didn't think much about concealed carry because they felt safe. Everything was stable, and we didn't have problems with these gangs and robberies and home invasions. Times have changed in America, and we understand this. And with that comes the need for people to exercise their Second Amendment rights and to understand what you guys are trying to do out there by giving them some training and getting them ready to carry so they can protect themselves. And like I say, I recognize that people need to be prepared to protect themselves. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going on in America today.
Well, Don, I hate to tell you this, but it's already been through the courts, and law enforcement in this country, not just Arizona, are not obligated to protect us. It was tried in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, you're not obligated to protect citizens.
But obviously, as a former law enforcement officer of 15 years, I understand when you as a citizen or any citizen calls and says, I got somebody beating on my front door screaming at me, they're going to respond.
Oh, absolutely.
But also we know that it takes some time.
Budgetary constraints are changing law enforcement.
Right.
Like everything else.
There used to be a formula for how many police officers should be on the street per how many thousand citizens you have. But like you say, we know we have budgetary problems, and and unfortunately, when you have a call for service, those officers could be on other calls. And of course, if it's a life-threatening situation, that dispatcher is going to break them, but it's to get to you. But it's going to take time. In the meantime, you as a citizen in your home have to take the responsibility at that point. Are you going to become a victim, or are you going to defend yourself? And I think this is where concealed carry comes, is when you're at home and some crackhead starts kicking in your front door, he's made the decision that he's coming into your home, which Arizona has the castle doctrine.
Correct.
And you have a right to defend your home and defend your family. So when he starts kicking that door in, and you've called 911 and said, I've got an intruder kicking my door, by the time the police officers get there, and that critical time is, and how you respond may determine whether you live or die.
And this is a rural county, especially at this part of Arizona. Even in the best case scenario, it takes time to get from possibly in town to an outlying area.
Sure, and probably even more in the outlying areas, because the Mojave County Sheriff Office is responsible for Mojave County, which is the 5th largest county in the United States, and we're bigger than like 5 states. So if you're up in Meadview, or you're up in White Hills, or Dolan Springs, or some of these outlying areas, and this crackhead comes up, starts kicking your door, the sheriff is absolutely going to respond. Tom Sheehan's people are going to be coming. But it may be 15, 20, 25 minutes. Not like KPD, where KPD is going to get there 2 to 5 minutes, just on the average. That's one thing. But when you got 25 minutes between the time law enforcement is going to arrive, you've got to know what to do.
Exactly.
Or else you're going to be a victim, and that person doesn't care at that point about, what, that's your home, that's your castle.
Right.
They're invading it. And you're going to teach them what they should do in that critical period of time. But from the time they hear somebody beating on their door, threatening to come in and do them bodily harm, and the time that law enforcement gets there, that's part of your curriculum.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it just keeps you out of trouble, because a lot of times with situations like that, it's better to avoid trouble.
Absolutely.
And there's things that you can do to not have to use a firearm as a tool of last resort.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely a tool of last resort. Nobody should go into this with the thought of being in a gunfight.
Right.
Or being a gunslinger. It's not what this is about.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I say, I was in law enforcement for 15 years, and in the military, and taking another person's life. Some people say, "Oh, well, I'd do this, do that." They've never been there. They've never done that. It's not something that anybody would ever want to do. But I think the important part is, again, they made the decision. You're protecting your home. My home is my castle. And I know a lot of people may not understand the castle doctrine, but basically that says your home is your castle. You have a right to defend it unilaterally. Somebody comes into your home, you have no duty to warn that you're armed, or that you have a firearm or whatever. You have a right to protect your home. And like I say, I'm zealous about that, because I invite you into my home, welcome, come. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, you start kicking my door in because you're drunk, or you're on meth, or crank, or whatever, then you and I got a problem, because I'm going to protect my home and my family. And I think every citizen in America has that right, and we've got to take care of that. But we need to know what we can do, what our legal obligations are,
Absolutely.
our societal obligations. And again, this isn't about, well, I'm going to shoot somebody, because I know
Right.
I've been in that position, and it's not good, and
Right.
it'll stay with you forever, even when you're 100% right. So, but I think it's important that they know what the rules, the laws, and the obligations are that they got to function and follow when involved with taking care of protection in their home. So, your class is 4 hours?
It's 4 hours. We call it 4 hours. A lot of times it will be determined by the amount of feedback, because
Sure.
the second half of the class is pretty much all about this law we've just talked about.
Right.
And that can go from people who just want the highlights,
Right.
and then we can have people that want the what ifs this and what ifs that. And I have no problem doing that.
Sure.
I mean, we can't stay there for 12 hours doing it,
Sure.
but there's no, I'm there until you're ready to go out and take that responsibility.
Well, and you know, one of the things that I've seen in the past when I was a police officer, people wanted to know if I see somebody walking in my backyard, can I shoot them?
Yeah.
No, you cannot do that. That's in your backyard. Also, business people don't understand that in Arizona, your home you can protect with deadly force. Your business, on the other hand, if somebody's coming into your business, then that's a whole different story. And unless that person is presenting a threat to you, you can't use deadly force to protect a business. So these are the things that I think you guys are going to teach these folks, that they absolutely need to know. Business people need to know what they can do legally to protect their business versus the average homeowner that's out there and is wanting to protect their home. Jack, tell us about some of the age differential. We talked about this earlier. Chris, you might be able to offer some insight on that, about how people in America are the older age. It used to be young guys that were concerned about this. Now we have older age guys. What do you?
Well, appropriately so. Somebody that's older is going to be viewed by a criminal, just like a lion watching a gazelle, as a victim, as easy prey. Much easier than somebody that's young, somebody that's fit.
Right.
And it needs to be a consideration. You're being watched.
Okay.
Part of what we like to teach and try to convey to people is that the whole idea of self-defense starts even before you put the gun on. It starts with an increase in your awareness of your surroundings, awareness of when you're more likely to be a victim than another time.
Okay.
It could be the time that you're stacking groceries into your car and you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, and somebody comes up after your car. At that point, hey, take my car. My property is not worth me getting in a battle with somebody, not even a fist fight.
Sure.
Take the car. But now it's a lady that's there, and she's already got her son strapped into the car seat in the back. You don't have that option anymore. Retreat isn't an option, and that's when you need that force. You need the use of that force.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chris and Jack some more about the CCW in Arizona, and we're actually going to show you some firearms that you may be interested in if you're looking for a concealed carry permit or a home defense firearm. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Back at Camp. I'm your host, Captain Don Martin. And on today's show, we're talking about concealed weapons permits and why you as an American probably ought to get one. Chris, tell me about what we know there's not a requirement now to get a concealed carry. So why should a person do it?
Well, that's right. Recently, Arizona did away with the law requiring us to have a permit to carry concealed. But there's still some great benefit. One of the benefits locally is that you, as a lot of people don't know, you cannot carry into a restaurant with a liquor license on premises. With a permit, you can be in that restaurant provided you're not consuming. If you want to go out, that's correct.
So if you're in there having a straight Coca-Cola and you've got your gun, you're good to go.
If you're going to have your beer, whether you're licensed or not, leave the gun at home. But that's correct. You go out at night, go out in the evening to a dinner, you can carry legally with your permit. The bigger issue is reciprocity. There are now 35 states honoring Arizona's concealed carry permit. One important one to us is Nevada. Everybody goes down to Laughlin, everybody goes to Vegas. You can now carry in the state of Nevada with our Arizona permit.
Wow. So there's a big advantage to people, and we got snowbirds. Jack, we got snowbirds coming to Arizona in the winter.
And the thing is a lot of people don't even necessarily have to carry on their person, but their motorhome, their fifth wheel. It streamlines the process. Law enforcement loves to see a permit. You can ask any of our guys in this area. It right away it answers a few questions for them. Primarily that at least this person's been checked out by the FBI
Sure.
one time.
Sure. They're good people.
Exactly.
You know, back when I was a police officer, we used to talk about this, about do we think America should be armed? You know what? My personal opinion, and I expressed it many times, was I wish people would carry firearms. I'm not afraid of a firearm in the hands of a good citizen. It's those bad guys that are going to get a firearm, whether you have every law in the world, they're still going to get them. But I think if Americans and they have that right under the Second Amendment to possess and to carry. And I think that we should do that. And if I was still a law enforcement officer, I'm not worried about you and you. I'm worried about the guy that's on crack that stole the firearm, and that guy is the guy that's my threat. And when I see citizens that were carrying, that didn't bother me at all. So, my opinion is, hey, we have that right. We should utilize it. It's tough times in America. Don't be a victim. Do not be a victim. Okay, Chris, I want you to show me now, demonstrate some of these firearms that you have in your shop that people can walk in right now if they're looking for a home defense firearm or a concealed carry firearm. Show me what you got.
We've got here some of America's favorite guns. We've got some of the 38 wheel guns, the revolvers. Very simple, very easy to use, very easy to learn. Ammo is inexpensive. A great variety of ammo. A lot of ammo that's geared towards personal protection is available for these in the shop. Virtually anywhere you go, you're going to find what you need for this gun. Many reputable makers will make personal defense ammo. Ammo that has been tried in the courts, ammo that is available to and utilized by law enforcement.
Okay.
And that's what we want to consider when we're carrying a firearm to protect ourselves. Are we making the decision that a reasonable person would make?
Okay. Now, what caliber is this particular firearm?
This is a 38.
Okay.
This one is a Ruger, very dependable.
Made in America.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. A lot of the
Made
Rugers are
in Prescott.
Made in Prescott, Arizona.
A lot of the Rugers are made by our neighbors there in Prescott.
Okay.
That is true. You're definitely patronizing a good American company on that.
Okay.
The revolvers will come from a number of different makers. Taurus, Smith & Wesson. There are so many available colors, sizes,
Now these are stainless steel.
weights. They make
lot
them
less maintenance on stainless steel than on blue steel.
very little maintenance. No real chance of rust. But when you're carrying a firearm in a pocket, in a holster for a lady in a purse, the weight might be disagreeable. There's a whole line of ultralight guns available as well. Much lighter, much easier to carry, much more comfortable.
Okay.
Those are the wheel guns. One of the popular ones of the shop, there's been a lot of buzz about over the last couple of years, the Taurus Judge. This carries 5 rounds of .410 shot shell. The ultimate and easy to use, very effective. This is a firearm that somebody can become proficient with in minimal time. Prices on the guns that I'm showing you today are reasonable. You're looking at guns in the $300 to $500 range. A few of the autos, like the Glocks, very dependable and utilized by law enforcement. They'll reach into the $550 to $590 range.
But these are usually one-time purchases. I mean, this is a firearm you're going to buy, you're going to learn, you're going to train with, you're going to go out and shoot. This is something that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life, and more importantly, it could save your life. So how much is your life worth? I mean, for a one-time purchase, of a firearm that you can use, can save your life, can defend your castle, defend your life, that's reasonable.
And these will be handed down to the kids.
Exactly.
Every one of them here.
Right. Okay.
By the time you come to the end of this firearm's useful life, you have spent pennies a day.
Right.
For the carry, for the use of this firearm. Yes, they are there to protect us, but they can also be very enjoyable on the firing range.
And something else with these firearms, I teach Arizona hunter education, and these firearms are suitable for using for hunting. I mean, we have handgun javelina hunts in Mojave County in Arizona. Heck, you could use any of these for a javelina hunt because you're talking about a range of 10 to 20 yards when you're hunting javelina. These are more than capable of being able to be used in a hunting application. So it's not just a self-defense, home defense kind of thing. Hey, you buy one of these firearms, you could actually use them hunting in Arizona legally.
Well, Don, not even just that. Sport shooting, a lot of people will find out once they get into it that it's fun to shoot.
Sure.
Just shooting at paper.
Sure.
There's competition. There's the whole camaraderie. We got a nice range here in the county. Clubs out there.
Yeah, the Mojave Sportsman Club's got a great range out there, and folks can go out there and shoot under controlled conditions out there. Very safe, very safe place out there to shoot. Like I say, it's very strict on the rules and regulations. No accidents, no problems. So now here's one a little different.
Ruger LCP. This shoots a .380 caliber, much like a 9mm, very slightly shorter. But when we're talking about concealability,
Boy.
these are just amazing little guns.
Wow.
Pocket clip, you can tuck them and go. Just virtually invisible in a pocket. Smaller than a wallet.
Wow. I mean, this thing is, that's absolutely incredible. And that's manufactured by Ruger.
That is also Ruger.
Wow, awesome. Folks, I'm going to show you something real quick. Here's my next purchase right here. This is a Ruger. It's a, what is this called?
Ruger LCR.
This is one I'm going to get. Now, the thing I like about this particular firearm is this has a laser grip in it. When you squeeze the grip, that laser light comes on. Now, if you're in your bedroom at 2 in the morning and somebody just kicked your door open and you reach over and you grab your firearm, I don't care how much practice you got, it's gonna be tough to know where to point. But I'll guarantee you, if you point that laser and that laser is centered on somebody, even if he's crackhead or meth or whatever, when he sees that laser, that's going to get his attention, and it may stop the threat right there. You may not have to do anything. He may turn and run. If he's smart, that's what he's going to do. But if he continues, you know where that gun is pointed. So that's a great thing. I saw this at Chris's shop, and you know I've got guns, but I'm going to own this one. So this is something, like I say, it's a 38 special. It's small. It's concealable. And like I say, this is going to be I don't buy guns anymore because I got enough, but this one's going in. And like you say, I talked to my son and he knows this is coming down the pike. You know, this will be something I'm going to pass on to the family. So that's a great self-defense firearm. And like I said, I never thought I'd ever buy a gun that had grips that were $300, but I can see the value of it, and my life and my house is worth that to me. So now let's talk about Big Mo here.
Yeah. Now, in all those years of law enforcement, did you carry a shotgun in that car?
Oh man, did I?
What'd you carry?
I carried a Remington 870 police riot gun. What we found in our business then was the most identifiable sound anywhere is the sound of a shotgun going. When you hear that, you can be drunk, you can be high, you can be stoned. But when you hear that, you know what that is, and that is an attention getter. And like I say, if it gets bad, where a handgun maybe is not the best tool of the trade, this shotgun right here, and this is a shotgun that, and I'm proud to say I have one of these. And you know what? You know, I always said it's not good to go to a gunfight with a knife. So I always believed in peace through superior firepower. If you have a handgun, I'm going to have a shotgun, and we go from there. But that right there is to put it plainly, is the cat's meow.
Still to this day, after all the decades in service, that 870 is one of the favorite firearms.
Oh yeah.
Very functional and very affordable.
Now one thing that we do have to bring up here, and I think it's responsible for us, is that folks, when you're dealing with firearms in your home, if you've got kids, you obviously have to deal with these kind of things differently than, say, a retired folks that don't have kids around the house. We do have a responsibility to maintain these firearms in a safe location, but you know, we teach this in Hunter Ed about, well, what if you've got it locked up? If it's locked up and the guy's kicking your door in, then you may not have the time to unlock it and go from there. So there's a point there where you have to understand the purpose of this, but you're sure not going to leave them laying around. So when your nephew comes and visits, that you know he walks in the bedroom and sees it. So we need to emphasize the safety, and I think Jack probably teaches this. That you know, hey, you have a responsibility as a firearm owner to be safe. Make sure that your family members are safe, and that your firearms are where you know where they're at, accessible, but at the same time not accessible to kids, visitors, that kind of thing. So,
well, Don, in 10 minutes I can show you how to make any of these work if you've never picked one up.
Right.
But in this class, all that other time is devoted to just issues like you're talking about there, because that's the important part of it.
All right, guys, unfortunately we're out of time today. I want to thank you both. Man, this has been one of the best shows I've ever hosted. So, folks, if you're interested in concealed carry, Chris out at the gun shop, Jack, he's an expert at this. These are the guys you want to talk to. If you're looking for a firearm, they're there. So until next week, this is your host, Captain Don Martin, saying keep your firearms oiled, your lines fresh, and we'll see you next week back at camp.